Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I was racking my brains thinking, what am I hungry for? What haven't I eaten in a while? And one of the things that kept coming back in my mind was meatballs. Not just any meatballs, homemade meatballs. And I've been thinking for a while about taking the time to make a big batch of meatballs, use some for hoagies, and then freeze the rest for spaghetti and meatballs somewhere down the road. So today is a dreary, kind of cold day, so I thought no day like today to make some homemade meatballs. So let's get into everything I'm going to be using, and let's get dirty. So, first step, I cut up one small yellow onion, diced it up pretty good, and I added a 1/4 teaspoon of minced garlic, and I let this simmer on low with the olive oil for about, I want to say 10 minutes. It's done now, so let's start mixing up my ground beef. As you can see, I added my onion and minced garlic to my 2 pounds of ground beef, and now I'm going to add my seasonings. So I'm adding about a 1/2 tablespoon of parsley, I'm adding some salt. This I'm just shaking by eye. I'm using my peppercorn medley grinder that I got from the Amazon food pantry weeks and weeks ago. This one has white pepper in it. It has allspice, green pepper, black pepper. So I'm going to do a quick go around with that. I have a 1/4 tablespoon of cilantro. I'm going to also add about a 1/4 tablespoon of basil. And I'm going to mix these seasonings up. So what I have. Now, of course, when you're making meatballs, you obviously want to have clean hands. So make sure that you wash your hands good with hot soap and water prior to sticking your hands in ground beef. And even throughout making meatballs or meatloaf, you should, if you're handling raw meat like this, and you're adding other ingredients, you should take a moment and wash your hands anyway. It's just good practice. It's certainly not going to hurt. I'm going to shake in some red pepper flakes. Not a lot, but a nice little go over with the red pepper flakes. And yes, going to be adding some Parmesan cheese, guys. I'm looking for my measuring spoon. Okay. So there's a good amount right there. Now I'm going to add my 2 eggs and my breadcrumbs. And I'm just working my hands through it again. Like I said, I washed my hands several times throughout the process. You're dealing with raw meat, you're dealing with raw eggs. You definitely want to make sure that your hands are clean when you're making meatloaf, when you're making meatballs. Even if you're not using ground beef, if you're using ground pork or a combination thereof. Definitely always want to make sure you have clean hands, guys. Very, very important. And last, I'm going to add my breadcrumbs. Now, usually use about 1/3 to 2/3 cups. It pretty much depends on by eye how much you think you need. So I would say I'm probably at about 1/2 cup. Keep it handy. Sometimes you need just a little bit more. Play that pretty much by ear, you know, as you're mixing it up. And you can tell. How is it, you know, holding together? Do you need a little bit more? Is that good? It honestly all depends. Sometimes you do need just that little pinch more, you know? All righty. Well, I have everything worked through pretty good, I think. So, I'm going to wash my hands and I'm going to preheat my oven. Now, I remember, oh gosh, back in the day, my grandmother pan-frying meatballs before adding them to sauce. Well, thankfully, we don't have to go that messy step anymore. I'm just going to be baking them in the oven and then adding them to sauce. Alright, so now that everything is mixed, I'm going to be rolling out my meatballs. Now, I have older cookie sheets. I don't trust, even with cooking spray, that things don't stick on them, so I always use parchment paper. So I have a piece of parchment paper lining the bottom. It's good, it will not burn in the oven. Everything is mixed up in the bowl, ready to go. And I even have a small little bit of water in. That's for me to dip my fingers in as I am rolling, so that my fingers don't get sticky from rolling meatballs. I'm going to be making enough, not only for meatball hoagies tonight, but enough that I can put into a freezer bag and put them in my freezer for someday. I want to have spaghetti meatballs, maybe a little salad, some garlic bread. Well, all I need to do is make my pasta. So I've been meaning to make meatballs for a while. I've just gotten busy with other things and I haven't. But today I was really, really hungry for this. So yeah. So my oven is preheating at 425. Now when the meatballs are all rolled, they're going to go in the oven for roughly 20 minutes. The ones that I am going to put into my sauce will go into a pot. This is the giant sauce that I will be using. This is pasta sauce flavored with meat. And that will be on real low, lid on, letting them simmer in there. The other meatballs, they will be drained and they will go into a Ziploc freezer bag for another meal in my freezer. So let me start rolling some meatballs. Alright, got my hands moistened, taking my thumb ring off, and here we go, guys. So I'm just grabbing about this much hamburger and I'm just rolling it between my hands. If you watched the video where I did the real small meatballs for the Italian wedding soup, it's the same thing I did that with them as I'm doing with this, just obviously a little bit bigger. And I'm just going to line them up on the baking sheet. That one's a little smaller. And I'm just going to keep doing this, using up all of my meat mixture. Now in here, I have the meatballs that I'm going to put into the rolls. I have shredded mozzarella cheese in the fridge, so I am just going to let these simmer for, I don't know, I want to say maybe like about 5-10 minutes, and then I'll turn the oven back on, but it's going to be on a very low temperature. Actually, I'm going to go with a low broil, just so the mozzarella cheese melts over the meatballs. Now that's the dirty pan after I took the parchment paper off, and these are the meatballs I have in here. Any grease is just draining right off into that pan, and in a little bit I'm going to put them in a freezer bag, mark it, and they are going to go in my freezer for spaghetti and meatballs for another meal. So this is my meatball hoagies. They're on a low broil, just enough to melt all that yummy mozzarella cheese. So I'm keeping an eye on them. Shouldn't take any more than 2 minutes. As soon as that cheese is melting, they are coming right out and they are going to be ready to eat. Now, I do have some sauce left that those meatballs was simmering in. I'm letting it cool down, and this is going to go into a plastic container, and that's going to go in my freezer. I can reuse that in a different meal. So, yeah, then I can soak out this pot and that spoon. Everything will be washed, and I'll be able to actually sit and enjoy my meatball hoagie. Well, guys, there is my meatball hoagie, and I'm just going to get ready to dive into it. If you like this video, guys, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you haven't already, hit my subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all on the next one. Bye.